Oh, come on. I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
That's right. It's Hump Day Wednesday, the 23rd day of August. Good morning, neighbors, and welcome to the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital Fullcasting this morning. We just heard from Paul Richards with our news brief. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragabarazing. We got Ruben washing his car every morning. And of course, my name is Steve Khan. All right, keep it coming in until 9 o'clock this morning. Let's get straight into the WTs, see what's happening weather-wise and traffic-wise. Traffic report this morning, 2 seconds. Nothing at all anywhere. East, west, north, and south. All right. Weather-wise, it's a scorcher. It is 30 degrees in Port of Spain, 28 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 29 at our beautiful sister isle of Crown Point, Tobago. What the weather is going to be like for today, I tell you, it's a scorcher this morning already. Long, sunny spells interrupted at times by a few light to moderate showers near hilly areas. There's a low to medium chance, 20 to 40%. Some of these showers would become heavy and or thundery. This evening will be fair. All right, maximum forecast temperature for Piarco and Crown Point, 33 and 31 degrees Celsius. Now, let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. Oh, no, I did not give you the terms, and I'll get both if I don't do it. So let me do that. Toronto, it is 17 degrees with a drizzle. Miami, 26. We're cooler than Miami. Orlando, 25. New York, clear, and 19. Atlanta, 25 and clear. London, sunny and 22. You guys are going to love it across the pond today. Tampa, you're at 25. And Washington, D.C., you're at 17 degrees and clear. All right. Now we'll see who sent us hellos first thing this Wednesday morning. Garcilia in Valencia, good morning. Maria Marva, Oliver Man Warren, Wendy Ann, DJ Ray. DJ Ray, good morning to you. On YouTube, joining us this morning, we got Andre 868, Alistair Hart, Marcia Rock, Rena Budu Jennings, good morning. Carol Guevara, what's happening? All right, that's all on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. And I will say good morning, good out to the man with no frown on his face, Paul Richards.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Good Wednesday morning to you.
Hump Day Wednesday, my friend. Hump Day Wednesday. Of course, lots going on as usual.
Yeah, I was looking for a story I saw earlier on where the Cal CEO finally said something. He praised his staff who manned the ground staff and those who were under some pressure over the weekend for enduring what they endured and keeping the ship afloat or semi-afloat anyway. Good morning,
Morning, Steve, morning, Paul, morning, Richard, morning, everyone else. What did I miss?
He was on vacation. He only came back Monday. So
your phone can record video, right?
Sorry?
The Cal CEO. When you're a CEO of an airline, you're never really on vacation.
Well, I know that.
You know that, right? Because if there's an emergency or a situation like that, the vacation done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they will keep them updated on the issues, but to me, the press releases which continue weren't enough. Given the kind of disruptions that took place in people's lives, this situation is that.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, you're never on vacation. I know he's on vacation with his family, so.
Yeah, that's fine. One understands that. One is entitled to vacation, but when a major situation unfolds like that, I'm sure the staff would have been keeping you updated. And given the level of disruption, I think that more personalized, as we said yesterday, apology and message should have been forwarded from the CEO.
Oh, one time.
So
one
anyway,
time.
I think they're back on schedule now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they just some people are trying, and like we know, KT called me yesterday, and he was supposed to be in Toronto, and he told him he can't leave till Friday, but he had business to do before. So, yeah, so. So Madeira is back, and the chief operating officer, the CEO, was also on vacation. He came back yesterday. But yeah, you're right. When something like this, when you're a CEO, you're never really on vacation.
No, not of an airline of that size.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You ain't totally incommunicado, even
No.
when you're on vacation. It's like think about what the prime minister's on vacation. You think he could not know what's going on,
Exactly.
or be kept updated, or the president of the United States, or the prime minister of the UK. Once it's a big company like that,
Mhm.
like Cal is a big company, and the level of disruptions that took place. So lots of situations coming out of that. I see the pilots are now saying that it's really an issue of poor scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or is it the pilots? Yeah, some workers. Let me not say the pilots. Some workers are pointing fingers at management over
Yeah.
another issue, which may have possibly led to the situation of pilot staffing. They say the company's management of staff, specifically with the rostering of crew members and its failure to hire more workers to cater for an increased workload, is causing fatigue among pilots. Well, that's
And
a stretch.
flight attendants.
Them pilots stay home. Come on, let me not pretend it's fatigue among pilots, okay? Them pilots decided to stay home to make a point.
I definitely made a point. The
No,
thousands were affected.
I'm not dismissing that Cal is increasing its routes. I understand they bought some new craft. They haven't announced it yet.
I think
Um,
they're releasing 3 more Max 8s, which are supposed to be on for next year.
and they are expanding their routes. So it would, and my understanding also is that their pilots training in Toulouse in France, where they train them for the Boeing craft, if I'm not mistaken. So my understanding behind the scenes is that they're expanding their workforce. But
Mm-hmm.
this while negotiations are ongoing, you can imagine how tenuous that could be.
Hmm.
So
I'm sure, gentlemen, that this is probably the longest we have had with Caribbean Airlines in terms of their management. Gavin Madeira has been there a pretty long time compared to other people who would have been at the helm of that airline in the past years. That's my take on it. And I mean, I think we talked about this just the other day. If I remember, if not us, Richard and I certainly spoke about it. How long they've been at the helm, this current group, and it was only you started thinking it was only a matter of time before something was going to come up. And when I read that missive from whomever wrote it yesterday, and all I picked up from it, because clearly people have their own agendas and so on. All I picked up from it is what? The person complained how the plane's pink and they have a rainbow at the edge of the tail. And I'm saying this person clearly have issues, because if after all what you say about what's going on in this airline, you could go towards how the plane's pink and they have a rainbow at the edge of the tail to make that as part of your issues, then you have an issue.
who
That's
sent
how I
that
read
missive? I didn't see that missive. Who sent
You
it?
didn't see it?
No.
Who shared that yesterday? Not you, Steve? You
Yeah.
or Ruben?
Yeah, I sent it. Let me find it and send it for you.
Yeah.
There's another one, the Army of
Is it a
One.
staff member or somebody?
Yeah, it was somebody you gather from reading it is from a pilot, right?
Yeah.
You gather that, right? And they went on to list some things. Lack of transparency, your leadership. This is about Gavin, right? Lack of transparency. Your leadership style has been marked by a distinct lack of transparency and openness. Decisions are made without consultation or meaningful communication, leaving pilots feeling disconnected and undervalued. This approach undermines trust and hinders collaboration, ultimately impeding Caribbean Airlines progress. The decisions made under your leadership have been questionable and detrimental to the culture within this organization. So the person went on to list a few things, right? You have shattered so many lives, they said. And then at some point in time, the person said, oh, they put in caps here, you are misleading my government and citizens. There are planes on the ground with no pilots to fly them. You are abusing the tax-paying population of this twin island, right? And then they went on to say, it is evident your decision-making process lacks the necessary rigor and expertise required for effective leadership of the airline. You have a team full of yes men. Nobody trusts you anymore. All this was said,
But you know what? I've been hearing about, I know many people that work at Caribbean Airlines, and pretty much there are a lot of complaints regarding his leadership style and the executive management of Cal. I've heard, it's not even here.
And
but
I'm sure they will argue that for the
They
first time, Cal broke even and posted a profit.
That's what I'm saying.
That will be the argument.
So the point I was
That
making.
is the only argument for solvency and sustainability.
So the point I was
I'm not
making.
saying the workers' concerns are invalid, but for the first time, Cal has posted a profit. No matter how the management was of Cal over the last 40 years, 30 years, there have been consternation from workers. Let's not pretend.
Yeah. I don't know Gavin Madeira personally. I remember us when he just came into office, Steve. I'm sure you remember this. He came in as a guest on the Power Breakfast show. He had literally just taken up that position.
Yeah.
Right? And he came in studio as our guest. I don't know the gentleman. But when I read this, whatever this is from someone, this person clearly got issues. Because, as I say, this person ended a paragraph by saying, let me read, this is not a marketing company, guys. It is a safety-sensitive international world-class airline with a reputation that you cannot even begin to live up to. The planes are pink, and there is a rainbow on the tail. What is really going on here? You see, every time I read something like that, after I read everything else,
it sounds personal.
It's petty. It's personal and petty.
Yeah. And no matter who the management is of an airline, nobody is going to be happy. As a matter of fact, any large company, nobody's going to be always happy with the decisions of management. Anybody who's ever run a company will know it's daily, it's particularly the extremely competitive, highly regulated airline industry.
You see, when you demand a lot of people, when you get people to work, when you insist that people work for the dollar, you will never be a favorite.
Well, I don't know that is the only issue in Cal, because I like Steve, and I'm sure you, Wendell, know a lot of people in Cal, and Cal has been a political football for decades.
Correct.
Well,
and there are workers who've been there for many, many years, some of whom have just gone home in the last VSEP and realignment of management. Madeira is there because the government didn't change. You know how Cal goes. Like many other agencies. The reason that Madeira stayed that long is because the government didn't change. If the government changed, more than likely the whole board would have changed, the CEO would have changed. That's part of the problem companies like Cal in Trinidad and Tobago face, because it will be going good or not going good, and a government change, board change, management change, right? So they've never been able to be a kind of built continuity of growth or vision or direction, right? So that's why when you said Madeira was there for a while, it is because in 2020 the government continued. I'm saying it plainly, because if it had changed, he may well have been changed along with the board. I don't know, but that's generally what has happened in state agencies or state enterprises in this country. And that's part of the problem with what we face in continuity of direction in this country, with the country at large as a whole, and with many of those agencies that can turn a profit, because Cal has the whole Caribbean basically at his fingertip. You understand? And the gateway between North America and South America and the Caribbean and North America and the Caribbean and Europe. I mean, they have sensitive competition from Virgin and British Airways and Air Canada at one time and JetBlue and stuff. So if CAL is run properly, CAL can be a success story.
Yes.
But no matter what management in a company that size does, and I say I'm not invalidating the concerns of the workers because I know people who work CAL for years, and the anxiety and the pressure they're under anytime they change in direction about their job safety. You understand? So they have built up angst with whoever the management is, and not only the present management, what has happened in the past.
Yeah.
Because those pilots end there under Madeira alone, you know.
No.
They would have gone through all the drama where they change management, change board, change direction, change from BWIA to CAL. Within CAL, change this direction. So a lot of that is frustration over the years. It's not about Madeira alone. You understand?
Yeah.
And that is why people, it may sound petty and it may sound angry and personal, but it's because of years of, I'm not use the word abuse. Years of anxiety.
Yeah. Inefficiencies. Because who could forget that decision to go back to London direct? Not after we had stopped going to Heathrow.
And give up Heathrow. And Heathrow not profitable. How Heathrow could be not profitable?
And let me tell you that spot in
can't get back that now.
It is one prime time and a prime gate, and we give that up for free.
You didn't give
prime
it up for
time and prime gate.
You don't give up that.
$1 million gate right there.
But when we tried to do it again, we were flying half empty. You understand?
How? How?
Those were the reports I got. I'm sure you all read the same things I read. That
And then remember during the pandemic, the approach of CAL during the pandemic, when people were stranded and their tickets they couldn't come back because the country was closed and all the drama people went through. So a lot of the decisions that CAL makes sometimes are questionable. But as I said, no matter how good the management is, people are always trying to see with a large company like that. Because the management has to balance the sustainability of the airline with the demands of the staff for better packages and all of that.
I think they must be fine Madeira there too long. He lasted too long. So that must be why they launched this attack on him. You understand?
Well, I think it's that issue is because of the response of the company to the disruptions. You understand? In large part, because it didn't come out of the blown out of 2 days ago, the disruptions. A lot of it and the disruptions, which I don't agree with, because I mean pilots aren't supposed to strike, and they could pretend it's a coincidence that plenty of them sick out and they got sick on the same day. That is not a sick out, but it was a sick out.
Yeah, it was a sick out.
So let's not mince words and use diplomacy to say you decide to rest it on them because you find negotiations ain't going the way you want it. You understand? Let's not even pretend that as a discussion. You know what you do. And I don't know that that's the best approach, particularly in a company that you want more from.
And that for all intent and purposes appeared to be turning around. You know?
Even if it appears to be turning around in terms of the big numbers, the top line, that doesn't mean the workers don't feel that their packages need to be in a certain direction. You understand? They're not mutually exclusive. The company can be turning around and they feel they're not sharing in that wealth. You understand? So it's not it's a negotiations thing. And as I told the minister yesterday of labor, a lot of the times people get frustrated in the public sector and the private sector, but less so the private sector, because they're negotiating retroactively. And then the company said, well, we ain't making no money now. Economy had, when he was making money, he didn't finish the negotiations and give me what I supposed to get at that time. And I lost value on that money and those packages. So, and then the workers always suffer for bad management sometimes. So the management do nonsense, the board make bad decisions, and then the company going down, and then the workers are the ones who either sent home or reducing pay hours. You understand? So a lot of built up angst over the years. It's not necessarily about Madeira and his management alone. It's over the years these pilots and workers have been put through the ringer with companies like Caribbean Airlines. So you got to understand from a broader perspective. So, and then the only one, and then gonna be the last time.
Yeah. Of course, there were some other videos circulating over the last few days that I just got so upset. One is that video of that road death. You know, I don't know how people were sharing that video. I don't know how the family would have viewed that video. Up to now, have they identified who the person was?
I haven't followed it on it.
Yeah, you know, that was such
I
a very
refuse to look at it.
unfortunate video.
I just refuse to look at it.
Yeah, but I didn't know what I was looking at when I first got it. And then I actually abused the person. And I said, do not send me these type of video. And do not share it. Come on.
Every time I knew what it was, I just didn't look at it. I don't want to look at that.
Yeah,
I don't want that to be.
and I couldn't, because there were two. Naturally I couldn't look at the second one. You know, but I'm saying, why are people sharing a video like that? Anyway, we share things like that. So
the other video that I saw yesterday that disturbed me greatly is a video of a man who's supposed to be a South-based businessman.
Randy Singh.
Mm-hmm. When he sent an apology, he ain't got it.
Yes, the apology.
It was such a disturbing video.
Let me tell you.
The way he treated that woman.
I'm sure
that there is clearly some relationship or past relationship issue, but that is not the way you deal with it.
You do not call
the woman like that.
Like a current relationship issue.
You do not call your security people who behind you to say, bring up pliers so you can pull out her teeth. You do not call your security people to bring a knife so you can carve.
I didn't see all of that, but I saw the part where he dragged her and put her in the car.
All of that in there. They pull into the hair, they slap it, they abuse.
Yeah, it was
I am waiting to see what the TTPS is going to do about that.
It is very
so disturbing. And good thing his security people did not bring what he asked for. He pulled the woman by her hair, shoved her in the back, in the front seat of the range. Another woman was in the back seat. And she jumped out.
But he tell them to get out and go in the other vehicle.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And then he sends on Facebook an apology. Oh, please, this and that. And what else he said here?
I'm sure when he sobered up, he got remorseful because he clearly
wasn't sober.
Yeah?
Clearly he was not sober.
Yeah, he was drunk, pissing drunk.
I have no evidence of that, so I wouldn't say that.
Nah, you could have heard it, man.
I have no evidence. People have been in rooms with marijuana-like substances, and we have no evidence to support it. People have been slurring their speech, and we have no evidence to support that they inebriated. Unless I can take you to a breathalyzer test and or test for THC, I do not know that the person was drunk.
Because you and I know that person just had to sniff the alcohol. They
right. So I don't know that. You can say what you want. People are making all sorts of allegations based on what they see, and they have no direct evidence to support these claims.
Don't start me this morning.
But what is video?
Okay, so you
show
all kind of thing.
One video showed that had been circulated. I got it a few times. Clearly, I'm really waiting to see what the TTPS is going to do.
Yeah,
the lady is crying in the car. You're slapping the lady. You're hitting the lady. You're threatening her life.
You rip off her clothes.
You know what's
this? Rip off her clothes, correct? You're right.
What are you getting people business for? That is husband and wife business. I said people actually have that mindset that even if they were in a relationship with husband and wife, that's allowable.
Exactly.
I said, wow. Tells me a lot about you, buddy. Whoever made that comment.
Me a mindset, definitely.
And about his song and hurt. So his song and hurt, and that justifies the way he treated her?
Paul, I'm going to send a video for you, right?
You sure you want to do it?
Yeah, no, because it's instructive based on what we are speaking about now, right? It's a class being conducted by a professor. The video is just over 4 minutes, but you get the gist of it very early. It's not obscene or anything, so it's a class. It's a professor putting a young lady out of a class and using that as the topic to teach the class. The class is on law, right? It's a video worth sharing and worth watching, right?
Yeah,
Check
but
it out.
that young man.
To share it with the audience now, or
Yeah, based on what we're talking about, because you just said a lot of people say you shouldn't get in people's business. This is about people turning a blind eye to injustice being meted out to someone. So it's basically the same. The story is the same. You understand? It's about turning a blind eye to injustice.
we'll have to download it first. And
yeah,
we're
right.
watching.
But it's worth sharing. It's worth everybody seeing it and watching it. You understand?
Mm-hmm. The chap that was knocked down as a pensioner, 66 years old,
Where did that accident take place?
by Carney on Uriah Butler Highway.
Oh, jeez. How could people be driving and seeing a body on the ground and just driving past?
No, well, Wendell, you're a driver. Sometimes you can't swerve, you know.
No, but Steve, you're approaching something on the road. I don't know about you, but I kind of slow down to watch, you know.
No, I don't watch. I just keep on going. When it's something like that, I don't watch.
Nah, even if it's a piece of tire, I slow down because I don't want to hit it. I don't want to roll over it. You know what I mean?
I'm sure the people didn't do it deliberately. It was.
But there were people at the side of the road filming. So you approaching a site where you seeing people at the side of the road approaching something in the road, filming, and you ain't slow down? Nah, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Stuff. But I'm still.
Well, yeah. If you could slow down, you could to film. You could.
I don't watch it. I don't like to watch those things. I do not watch. I do not watch at all. But then that's going to be branded into my memory, and no. I'm not going to watch. I don't need to watch. Don't need to watch.
But people have this attitude now, and it's developed a lot in Trinidad and Tobago, where your business is your business. Me ain't getting involved. You understand? Is you gain wherever you gain, you take
to be fair, I understand people sometimes reticence to get involved because you don't want to you don't know what the situation, how it will evolve. Next thing somebody pull out a gun and you get shot. I've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
So I understand people's reluctance sometimes to get involved and intervene, because then I've seen in Trinidad and Tobago actually somebody tried to intervene and got killed. Or got badly injured.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I've had situations where I have intervened. Right?
Me too.
Yeah.
And get cussed after for intervening.
Yeah. I had to stop a policeman from kicking up somebody at a time, I got in the way of the policeman, I said, you can't be kicking up a human being.
You and police have a long history of having
a very long history.
Tensions.
Yeah, very long history.
Personally and professionally.
Today that young man is missing. For the last 2 months they can't find him. It's crazy place.
What young man missing has to be police?
I'd send that for you all to share it that morning. I think that Seth, please share of a young man missing in the Derby area.
So what has to do with police? We're talking about police.
What had to do with police? Because he was the same young man being kicked up by police.
Oh, okay.
Way back years ago.
Sister.
You understand?
The international news, of course, is that some of the co-accused in the Trump case have submitted themselves in Georgia. I saw a video, a couple of news reports on Rudy Giuliani, one-time big-time Trump supporter, declaring bankruptcy, saying he can't even pay his bills because of legal fees due to his association with Donald Trump. Legal maneuver, maybe?
Well, they're going to try everything,
And quote-unquote Trump scammed him. Well, Giuliani, you were supposed to be a bright fella at one time.
A
Who
couple of them
trained
fellas,
behind Donald Trump? Donald Trump is going to save himself and throw all the way in
they meant
the
that,
bacchanal.
Paul, a couple of them fellas might want to check themselves out, you know. They might not want to wait for the maker, you know. They might want to check themselves out, you
I don't know what you're speaking about.
know. Okay.
The other big story internationally is, of course, that amazing situation. Thank God it was resolved without loss of life in Pakistan, where the cable car snapped and was
Yeah.
hanging precariously. And the amazing thing is that they actually rescued the people.
Yeah, 8 people, 8 of them were rescued. Yes.
The video is showing it now.
Hmm.
The helicopter hovers above, and army personnel come down on a rappel and save the people. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, to mount that kind of rescue and pull it off successfully
Mhm.
has to be commended.
Well, we know for sure the cable's strong.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that was amazing, an amazing situation, and an even more amazing rescue. So kudos to them
Yeah.
for putting off that rescue, and all those people, including children. I think it's 6 children, if I'm not mistaken.
Play my video
being
now.
I'm downloading it. You know, send it. You want these things to your friends and
on
advance.
internet or? Your
I have
slow?
internet. But
Internet slow. What's going on there? I thought you had man of speed and action.
sometimes speed is not what is warranted.
Here we go.
It has sound. I ain't hearing nothing else.
Yeah.
Blue Jacket, what is your name?
My name is Alexis.
Alexis, please leave my lecture room. I don't want to see you at one of my lectures ever again.
I don't understand.
I am not going to ask a second time. Thank you.
I think I know where this is going. Next stage, though.
Riveting video. Watch it.
Why are there laws? What are laws for? Anyone?
Good governance.
Social order?
Law and order.
To protect a person's personal rights. So that you can rely on the government.
Justice? Thank you. Tell me, was I unfair to your classmate just now? Indeed I was. So, why didn't any of you protest? Why didn't any of you try and stop me? Why didn't you want to prevent this injustice? You see, what you have just learnt, you wouldn't have understood in 1,000 hours of lectures unless you lived it. You didn't say anything because you weren't affected yourself. And this attitude speaks against you and against life. You think it doesn't concern you, so it's none of your business. Well, I'm here to say, if you don't help bring about justice, then one day you too may experience injustice, and there will be nobody there to stand before you. Truth and justice lives through us all, and we must fight for it. Because in life and work, I mean, we often live next to each other, but not with each other. We console ourselves that the problems of others are nothing to do with us, none of our business. And we go home glad at night that we're spared, but it's about standing up for each other. Every day an injustice happens in business, sport, or on the tram. Relying on someone else to take care of it is not good enough. It is our duty to be there for others, to speak up for others when they cannot. I am here to teach you the power of your voice.
So I think we get the message.
Yep. It
You know,
relates to almost everything we've spoken about.
It's interesting. I remember in an exam many years ago, in a master's exam I was doing, and the supervisor had an issue with one of the girls in one of my class colleagues, and she came. It was a personal thing. Came to her and tried to throw out the exam and disqualify her because she was wearing a piece of jewelry, and jewelry was not allowed in the institution. No, she was right. So when she told her you have to leave the exam room, I said, but there are 4 other people, including myself, who have jewelry on, and you didn't tell us anything. I said, so if she is leaving, we have to leave too.
Yeah. And
then she reverted and said, well, you'll have to take it off. I said, but you weren't telling her that. You're putting her out of the exam.
Right.
So, I can't see them kind of thing. I get upset fast.
Yep.
Anyway, let's roll into the newspapers this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is Wednesday, the 23rd of August. Let's start with the Express. UNC counselor mum on claims that allegations he threatened and harassed a couple. I think their swearing-ins happening in several of the corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Family forks out thousands to get home. Of course, the car situation. Worker slain while cutting grass. Kirkwaith disputes gang link in murder of one of his employees. Gunmen kill couple. Scrap iron dealers call for update on probe. TTPS says stop sharing graphic accident footage. And of course, Jerome Richards came very close to being in the world champion finals. He just was edged out. Let's move to the Guardian. EBC faces legal petition from the UNC. The UNC is suing the EBC about that Lingua Indian Walk district and the results and the decision by the EBC to have fresh elections as opposed to counting the one vote that would have broken the tie. As letter services calling for resignations of top executives, that's of course the car situation. EBC faces LG petition from UNC. Police officer brother found murdered in Grandy. Pilots, poor crew rostering causing car wars. Gary Mum and If Young got gun license when he was COP. What else is here? Kamala hopes EBC will hold hand in Lingua election pending court matter. And as letter services calling for resignations of top executives, Legor defends Cal. That's a job, eh? You cannot defend Cal. Let's move to the Newsday now. Flight attendant acted in interest of safety. Expert weighs in on autistic child in aircraft. Jerome narrowly misses World 400-meter final. Policewomen vacate Port of Spain City Hall auditorium ahead of corporation swearing in. Teens off to US for leadership exchange tour. And Farley Augustine says it's time to break the monopoly Cal has on the air bridge to Tobago. And I think that could be the subject of our question. Does Cal have a monopoly or just no other airlines are flying that route?
No other airlines are flying that route.
No other airlines are flying.
I don't think Cal has a monopoly on it.
No.
There have been airlines flying that route in the past. They just probably found it unsustainable, not viable.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I think let me not say it because I'm not sure. And he's a lawyer, so let me not quote him on that. Lawyers. And I'm done hanging on by a thread here already.
Where?
What you need is a good lawyer.
Have me. Something I missed out.
No. If you ain't pick it up, you ain't gonna pick it up. It's gone.
Okay.
Who is there hanging on by a thread? Don't say the name now. All right, move on. Anyway.
You're clinging on.
Clinging on, sorry. Yeah. So
I know, I don't forget the words,
So I don't want to say because I think I saw a story with him talking about the air bridge also. Anyway, the suggested question is should there be other airlines on the air bridge? But to my knowledge, there's nothing stopping other airlines from doing the air bridge.
Yeah,
Nope.
from my knowledge,
Nope.
yeah.
We had TTAS, not so? TT Air Services at one time.
Liat didn't used to do the air bridge at one point?
I'm not sure if Liat
No, they
did
used to
it.
do a hop.
Yeah.
It was a hop.
Is it Red Jet? Didn't you say Red Jet was of the Caribbean, wasn't it?
Red,
Red
I
Jet,
think
Red
we had
Jet
Red
was
Jet
international. Yeah, that was lasted what, 3 weeks?
here.
It's a good thing it lasted 3 weeks because you'd have fallen out of the sky eventually.
Yeah,
I'm sure that old plane that's flying.
Yeah.
a bunch of old planes. That's right. And then they had the
Yeah.
tail strike, and
So the question, and I'm going to rephrase the question then. Should new airlines be invited to service the air bridge?
Yeah.
yeah.
And we talking Trinidad and Tobago here, right?
Well, that is the air bridge.
Not everybody may understand that.
Well, let me say some good morning going into a few folks watching us on YouTube this morning. Gail Thompson Myers, good morning. Randy Kelly, Karen Yipnow, morning. Anthony Tinto out in Canada. Edwin Marshall, D. Pierre, morning, D. Pierre. Bradley Snell, Cynthia Ramsarup, Brenda Isaac, Terrence Brown, Marcia Hart, Sunil, that's Marcia Hart, Angela Collier Lewis, back to be on again. Welcome again, Angela. Mo Gaines, Wayne B, Miss Maloney Dudu, good morning. Miss Ingrid, you're watching us on YouTube this morning. Kyle Cupid, Ronnie Voisin, Winston Jones, Mrs. R is locked on. Terrence Denny, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Of course, let's say happy belated birthday going out to her son, Ray's son, whose birthday was on Monday. So happy belated to you, David. And let's see. CG out in New York, good morning to you as well. And before we get into this morning's poll, let us give you the results of poll from yesterday. Yesterday, we asked you, do you support the actions of Caribbean Airlines pilots? Do you support it? I'll give you the results right after this.
Summer mattress savings now on at Furniture Plus. Get any size therapeutic EcoSense mattress for just $799. Certain mattresses from as low as $999. Big discounts on bases and 25% off accessories. Check press and social media for details.
All righty. Do you support the actions of Caribbean Airlines pilots? That's our poll yesterday. Final results are in. Just like yesterday where it was close, it's also close here. 60%, 60 said yes. All right, 60 said yes. Good morning to you, Mr. Carapo, Central Animal Lover. Good morning, GNC Auto Security. Good morning to you guys as well. All right, this morning's
Should additional airlines,
I'll tell you about it for those that are not watching us on YouTube. Should additional airlines be invited to service the air bridge between T and T?
Mm-hmm.
That's
morning,
our morning poll.
Good morning,
Should
Amjad Ali.
additional airlines be invited to service the air bridge between Trinidad and Tobago? Yes or no? Send us your response via YouTube, mobile app, or our website at power102fm.com.
Well, Sheldon Smith is basically saying the same thing that Amjad Ali messaged me.
Natasha Henry, good morning. Sheldon Smith. Susie B says yes to the poll.
Richard is Stephen's not hearing me?
Nobody knows.
From just ignoring
all these years, you don't know Richard doesn't wear a watch, can't tell time. Mr. Carapo says yes to the poll.
Steve, are you hearing Wendell?
Carapo. 222-8255. North Americans, toll-free number 866-525-1099. The numbers directly into our studio.
Steve, are you hearing Paul and myself?
Yeah. All right.
I don't think he's hearing us.
Sorry, guys. I didn't realize the pot was down.
I was telling myself he is talking over me and talking over you and ignoring us.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
He can't be hearing us.
I'm not hearing you.
He ignores us so often. I don't know whether it was a technical issue or just as normal.
I don't normally pull the pot down, so I just don't know why I'm not hearing you all. All right. So once again, should additional airlines be invited to service the air bridge between Trinidad and Tobago? Got some calls coming in. Good morning.
Diego Martin says yes.
Diego Martin says yes. Thank you, Diego Martin. All right. Ronnie Vonze says yes to the poll. Thank you so much. CJ in New York says yes to the poll. What says you, caller?
Yeah, but he says no.
The body says no. Thank you. All right. Let's see.
Slick Money Grip says yes.
Yeah. Slick Money Grip says yes.
That name is so suggestive. Eh?
If it is,
I'm not even going there.
I actually visualize it.
That name is so suggestive.
I go so fast to visualize it down. Visualize it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sexy San Fernando is in the house. Good morning, Sexy San Fernando says yes.
Slick Money Grip, let's know who you are now.
Lorna, morning, Indy, and of course, special good morning, good night to Carly. Yes to the poll.
Sunil Ram Samaru.
And he's from Central. Good morning to Sunil. Thank you so much for joining us in the Power Breakfast Show.
I see Karen Yip now name came up there. So long I haven't seen or heard of Karen.
Yeah, he resurrected. He's been around for a while, a little bit now. Karen. Mo Gaines says yes. Winston Jones says yes. J97. What are you saying here, J97?
Yeah, same thing that Sheldon and Amjad Ali said. It's currently subsidized, but would people be willing to pay the true cost? Because I don't know that any other airline will be subsidized by the government.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a very good point. That's probably why they became insolvent.
Yep.
Oh, not insolvent, but
I don't know. I don't know. Remember, the THA used to pay for Virgin Airlines at one point, but they were coming. So I don't know.
When you say pay for it, what does that mean?
Well, they used to subsidize a percentage of the cost.
The THA?
Yeah.
Where you get information from?
When Virgin flying to London?
Why would the THA subsidize a private sector international airline?
I don't know why, but I knew they did.
Oh, you know they did? Okay.
It was a story this year.
This year?
Yeah, I think
Steve,
this year. Do a Google search.
No.
Yeah, it was in the papers. That's what I was right. Check it out.
No, Steve.
You want to bet? Let me search for it. I can't do it.
I'd call you
next hour.
Steve Ashi.
No, well, you see, I'm telling you. Not because you don't know doesn't mean it's not true.
I never said I do. It's not true. I said send the information for me.
I'll Google it for you. I'll find it. Rena Odu Jennings says yes.
Somebody tell me what Steve is saying is true. Where?
Somebody.
I'm telling you.
Clarence Brown said Steve is right.
I am always right. Tell them, people. Tell them. Because they don't know they want to chastise me.
I don't remember the story. I wasn't chastised.
Because you don't remember does not mean it did not happen. God, I feel like I'm on a political platform.
Yeah, among the people telling me messages say Steve is right.
Yes. Write it on your eyelids when you look in the mirror in the morning. Say Steve is right watching you.
It's so unusual that you're disseminating accurate information.
Behave yourself. Ms. Maloney says
it used to pay foreign airlines to provide airlift or at least subsidize the cost.
Watch
him.
You had to buy doubles and pizza for him for the rest of the
nobody, don't even talk about him buying a roti from Hot Shop. Don't even talk about the pizza. He probably owes me like 100. Don't even talk about that. If other airlines are coming in, they're probably going to ask for well.
Yeah. Anyway, we have some more votes.
Can I apologize for doubting
Terrence Brown. Sorry, you broke up there. Say it again. I didn't hear you.
Politicians don't apologize. And when they do, they repeat it.
Darren Thompson says yes. Mo Gain says, I agree. Steve is always right. Power of the doubles. You tell him, Mo Gain. You tell him.
Make he did it today.
Sheldon Smith says you have to guarantee a certain capacity. So if they fall below that, you pay the difference. Okay, there you go. You all got Ms. Maloney saying yes.
Yeah.
I mean, to check
Josie
the-
Richardson
Yeah.
said yes too.
Mo Guest says yes. May I ask Dr. Richards if the THA can pay Cal to increase their flights like they do with other airlines to fly to Tobago?
I find so. If you could pay for an airline, you could pay Cal.
Paula says yes.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago subsidizes Cal flights between the islands. So,
morning caller.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, buddy.
What is happening? The cost in Tobago is a subsidized cost. So I don't know if any new airline would be willing to pay this up, would able to charge a true cost because the cost is subsidized by the government.
Yeah.
Well, there are people who may be willing to pay the full price because they want expediency. But whether that's enough to guarantee a full load is something else and make it sustainable.
Thanks, pal. All right, 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099, messages on YouTube, and of course on mobile app and website. Ish out in Malik says yes. Good morning, Ish. Should additional airlines be invited to service the air bridge? Of course, between Trinidad and beautiful sister Isle of Tobago.
We should call Martin George after 7. We also have Dr. Leslie Ann Noel, a Trinidadian-born scholar who's working in the U.S. to talk about a new book that she has released. So we can sneak in Martin George. I'm sure he has a lot to say on this airbridge issue. So many papers.
Yeah. Kenny out in Harlem says yes to the poll. H.S. Wilson also says yes to the poll. Thank you so much. 222-8255. Add your numbers directly into our studio. If you're outside in North America, toll free 866-525-1099. Dennis from Dago Martin says yes. What says you, caller?
Good morning, yes.
All right. You didn't get a flight yet?
I sit down here since 6 o'clock waiting for my chauffeur and nobody reaches yet.
Where are you, in the airport or home?
I'm home.
Oh, okay. I see they're doing some flights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine who was supposed to fly on Sunday as well. And
Where are you going, Miss Sampson?
Toronto. And he cannot fly till Fridays, but he needs to be there like for today. So he's in a quandary.
Sorry, your finest wedding.
Oh, okay. Nice. Enjoy.
Morning,
some flights on time?
Huh?
No, I'm saying if on some flights on time anyway.
They've resumed their schedules and are doing makeup flights also.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of doing
The makeup flights that people having a problem with. All right. Thank you, Ms. Sampson.
Remember, they had flights booked post the disruption, so that those flights have to continue, and then they have to have makeup flights on top of that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have Global X.
Some airline called Global X or something so?
Yeah. That's a pretty penny. You know, I have the breakdown for the Global X. I have the flight, how much it costs. Alistair Hart says yes to the poll.
No, we're going to doubt you, but I'm afraid to doubt you now.
You want me to send it to you, Paul? Look, I have it. Look, I have it.
I have it here. Yeah, I wrote this morning.
So I was backing up
here.
Global X.
Let me get the breakdown of the costs.
Just
ask my friend. Let me send it to you, Paul.
The Tobago, and Derek just sent me, Tobago discontinues Virgin Atlantic flight from UK. The Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, which is part of the THA, will be discontinuing its airline contract with Virgin Atlantic for airlift between Tobago and the UK as a result of a strategic review and realignment of the agency's investment in airlift for the destination. The return on investment for the Virgin Atlantic airlift subsidy funded by the public sector has been deteriorating steadily over the years to the point where the renewal of their contract could not be logically defended or executed. So, yeah, they were subsidizing Virgin.
Yeah. My only issue with the air bridge is their timing. Because sometimes they see two flights leaving Scarborough, Crown Point, to come down to Port of Spain. I think a better schedule needs to be put into that, in my opinion.
How hard is it to get a between two small islands in the Caribbean. A 12-minute flight.
Apparently, quite difficult.
Ah.
Alison Scott says yes. Sheldon Smith says no. He says everybody wants to benefit, but no one wants to pay the cost. Boat or plane.
That's true.
We are
I thought
very
the subsidy-
spoiled
that
country.
price will go up to about 500 or 4 something.
It will
Wait,
probably
is now
one
3
way.
something?
It's
It is
$300.
400.
It's
400.
300. It's 400 two way, right?
Yeah, return.
Yeah.
200 one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might double.
Central Animal Lover says no to the poll. Moga
did
says
Richard just
rather
say?
than subsidy.
Richard, what did you just say?
Is it $400 now round trip to Tobago?
I think I haven't gone to Tobago and played in a long time, so
I thought it was
I
still
believe
free,
it
but
went.
I'm not sure.
I think it's 3, eh?
Yeah.
No, it went up. I think it went up by $50 one way, so it makes it $100 return. So what was 3 is now 4.
That is 61 US.
Yeah. Well, you could get flights on Spirit for 30 US and you know.
And sometimes on JetBlue for 60 US.
JetBlue sent me an email up $39 flights. Ray, JetBlue up $39 one-way flights. All right,
The
gentlemen,
tickets to get the
continue
flight
voting.
filled. It's 400.
Yeah, J97 said yes, it's 400. Thank you, Jay. See, again, I am right. I am right. Speaking of right, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. Evie is in on this, the 23rd day of August. Let's get into it, Evie. Ready, set, go.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The United National Congress takes the Elections and Boundaries Commission to court over the tie in the electoral district of Lengua Indian Walk. Calls for the resignation of CAL's Chief Executive Officer and Vice President of Human Resources. A call is being made for the monopoly in air travel between Trinidad and Tobago to be revisited, and Donald Trump's co-defendants begin to surrender in Georgia. Details in a moment. The United National Congress has decided to take the Elections and Boundaries Commission to court over the tie in the electoral district of Lengua Indian Walk. In the August 14th local government elections, Lengua Indian Walk was initially declared for the PNM. A recount was requested, which resulted in the PNM and UNC candidates being tied with 1,428 votes, each with a second recount resulting in the same outcome. However, during the initial count and the 2 recounts, a particular ballot, which was a vote for the UNC, was rejected on the ground that it had not been initialed by the presiding officer, nor did it have a polling station number. The UNC contends that this is the EBC's fault, and as such, the party should not be made to suffer the consequences. There must be a balance should the minimum wage be increased. This opinion is coming from President of the Greater San Fernando Area Chamber of Commerce, Kiran Singh. He made the point while speaking on the Power Breakfast program on Power 102 Digital on Tuesday. Mr. Singh said while the aim is to ensure workers retain their employment and increase their pay package, the cost of production is expected to go up and businesses have other operational commitments. The senior business official said while the conglomerates and commercial banks are making record profits, this is not the case for several small and medium-sized establishments. A call is being made once again for the resignation of CAL's Chief Executive Officer Gavin Madera and Human Resource Manager Roger Barkley. The resurfaced message has been shared widely on social media. Caribbean Airlines operations continued to normalize yesterday. However, the message, which started with a first-person perspective but ended with the signature by the hardworking employees of CAL, raised concerns about the work culture at the organization, Madeira's leadership style, issues with the retention of pilots at the airline, and the prioritization of CAL's expenditure. The message resurfaced after 93 pilots reported sick over a 2-day period last weekend, which led to the cancellation of 60 flights and cost the company millions of dollars. An injunction granted to CAL against the TNT Airline Pilots Association eventually forced the pilots back to work on Monday, but not before the airline lost millions and its brand took a beating from angry stranded passengers. TTALPA is currently in negotiations with CAL for 2015-2020 period. Addressing the circulating letter yesterday, CAL's head of corporate communications, Dion Lagore, said the concerns raised in the message were not reflected by employee surveys, which showed overall employee satisfaction with working on the airline. The time has come for consideration to be given to ending the monopoly in air transportation between Trinidad and Tobago. It's a proposal coming from Chief Executive or Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Farley Augustin. His comments come on the heels of Sunday's disruption in CAL flights to several destinations. Speaking with the media on Tuesday, the Chief Secretary Augustin described the situation as unacceptable. Mr. Augustin is of the view if the proposal is adopted, it can bring improved service between the islands. Protests early Tuesday morning in Ottawa Mayaro over the lack of pipe-borne water supply in the community. Old debris was placed in the roadway. Police and fire officers arrived on the scene to ensure law and order, extinguish the fire, and clear the roadway to allow vehicular traffic to proceed. One person in a voice note described the situation as tenuous. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, 4 people accused of conspiring with ex-President Donald Trump to try and overturn his 2020 election defeat in Georgia have turned themselves in. Lawyer John Eastman and Scott Hall, a Georgia bail bondsman, surrendered to the authorities on Tuesday. Former Georgian Republican Party Chairman David Schaefer and another defendant, Kathy Latham, turned themselves in early on Wednesday. Mr. Trump, meanwhile, is expected to surrender on Thursday. He faces 13 charges, including racketeering and election meddling. While Mr. Trump is yet to enter a plea, he denies wrongdoing and has said the charges are politically motivated. Well, finally, as weather news for the period today till midnight, Trinidad and Tobago, long sunny spells interrupted at times by a few light to moderate showers near hilly areas. There's a low to medium chance some of these showers could become heavy and or thundery. Nightfall mostly fair except for 1 or 2 brief light isolated showers. In the vicinity of heavy showers and or thunderstorms, expect gusty winds, street and or flash flooding. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature today of a warm 33 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 30 degrees Celsius already at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the UNC takes the Elections and Boundaries Commission to court over the tie in the electoral district of Lengua Indian War. Calls for the resignation of CAL's Chief Executive Officer and Vice President of Human Resources. A call is being made for the monopoly in air travel between Trinidad and Tobago to be revisited, and Donald Trump's co-defendants begin to surrender in Georgia. I'm Avril Sindhilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon, and update at 8 o'clock is also coming your way. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Morning, Avril.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All righty. Thank you, Avril. Thank you. 8 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock on this, the 23rd day of August. Yes.
Did you know that today is Gregory's last day at the company? We should say thank you to Gregory.
Hold on. Let me go get it.
McBurney.
Going to TV too?
I just used the intercom system here to call him.
I'm not at liberty to say where he's going. Maybe he would like to share.
I saw him on TV. I saw him on a TV program the other day. I think
Hold on.
Gregory McBurney.
Sit there for a second. You're being interviewed.
Yes.
Sit there.
Gregory, weren't you on TV the other day with a sport, 2 other sports?
Let me not do a thing here, but today's your last day?
Oh, yeah.
When are you going to tell me this? I thought we have a bond.
You're not required to know.
And the news went a bit longer than expected. When I did come in to tell you, that was the Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, whenever I read the news, it went a bit longer than expected.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, today is my final day in office.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't be leaving the company until the officially until the 31st.
Mm-hmm.
Going on vacation.
Going on vacation. Where's your point?
Wait. You're going on vacation?
Yeah.
You're using up your vacation days, in other words.
Well, I guess. But anyway, point is yes.
Gregory, are you hearing me?
No, just on vacation.
You hearing Paul?
Barely.
Go ahead, Paul.
Are you hearing me now, Gregory?
Yes, I am.
I just wanted to take the time to say on behalf of the company, thank you for your amazing service. And I know that you will continue to grow and excel. Our loss is the other media houses' gain, but I know you will keep in contact because your work wife is Avril St. Hilbab.
Yeah, that is.
You will never be able to divorce her. Right? And you know I'm going to harass you about that proposal I made you. For that proposition I made you. Although you are.
That on here?
No, I'm not.
That on here?
It is an academic proposal. Let me stress.
I didn't think it was anything else.
So hold on. Gregory, where are you going?
To print media. Switching to print media. So I'm looking.
You already tell mine is business now.
Express, Newsday, Guardian.
Newsday.
You're going Newsday? Yeah. Well, congratulations. I know a lot of people there too. So wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Good job working here.
Thank you for
your professionalism, your attitude.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. That's true. I should have added that.
Since you cut us here.
Since we cut the lock for you, you come with Lux leaving with a ball. That is true.
That is true. So wish you all
I will not be able to terrorize your daughter. Gregory's daughter thinks that I am a vampire.
Well, you know, children see the truth.
Yeah. That might explain why you're not aging.
I'm not discounting the fact that she may be right.
That might explain why he isn't aging. Yeah.
He got a little belly, but he's not aging. Yeah, vampire. No.
Steve can't go talk about nobody's belly. Steve can't
all the best on your new venture.
Paul and myself had this conversation yesterday.
I agree.
You all want to put on your... Hold on one second. You guys want to put on your...
Talk about well done and thanks for your service and blah, 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 blah. If you get any envelope yet?
Gentlemen, you guys want to put on your camera.
The envelope comes on the 25th of the month to the bank.
United cut to the chase.
Yeah, Wendell, Richard, you can put on your camera.
Thank you very much for your contribution to the company. And we want to wish you all the best in the future. All right?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and all the best. And when you stay down the road, so I know I'll see you here sometimes.
It's just a block away. So
it's just a block away.
Yeah, I'll be passing through ever so often.
All right, but don't park in the road. I'll leave you parking spot to some other guys.
Our guest is standing by, so we have to move.
Thank you, Gregory. All the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, have a good one. We'll chat after. All right, Riri, congratulations to Gregory on your new endeavors. More gains. All the best, Gregory. Richard seems a bit tired. That is in his natural face.
Can we give the results to the poll?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm going up as I look for it. Slick Money Grip says I was friends with Christian and Jerry. Who's Jerry? Can't remember Jerry. Okay, check in. All right, so we have no more votes there. All right, so let's give the results of our morning poll. Should additional airlines be invited to service the air bridge between Trinidad and Tobago? The results.
20 people said yes, 4 people said no. 20 said yes, additional airlines should be invited, and 4 said no. I will tell you just quickly though, Mr. Amjad Ali said most governments in the Caribbean guarantee seats by paying for them to cause an airline to come to the destination for tourists to be encouraged to come. And also is the only way some airlines will come to your country. He said it's pervasive throughout the Caribbean. All right, so that probably explains Virgin Airlines being subsidized to come to Tobago. All right.
Yeah. All right. So let's say good morning going out to Dr. Leslie Ann Noel. I've exited you already. I don't know you, but I've exited you already.
Oh boy, why are you vexed with me?
Because you're showing me the bottom of your cup. Why do you sip your coffee? That's all.
My God,
Put it off my chest.
Dr. Noel, you have an infectious smile and you have perfect teeth.
Oh wow, my dentist would love to hear you say that.
Wow. That's the first thing that struck me when as I see you.
Right. Let me just write that down. Yeah, pick up
Well,
line number
do they want a moment?
We'll pick
No,
up
no,
line
no.
number
I've
one
had
and
it.
take a note.
I've had it. Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Noel. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me just give our audience a brief overview as to Dr. Noel's background. The amount of things Steve sent for the morning already. All right, here we go. All right, Dr. Leslie Ann Noel is a designer, researcher, and educator, and is a co-editor of the Black Experience in Design. She has a master's in business administration from University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, a PhD in design from North Carolina State University. She was awarded honorary doctorates for service to the field of design by the University of the Arts, London, and Pacific Northwest College of Arts. She's currently an assistant professor in the Department of Media Arts, Design, and Technology at North Carolina State University, and she's a Trini.
Yay! Yes.
Trinity born. And then let me just
So we're starting a series where we're celebrating nationals who have excelled and are flying the red, white, and black around the world. So you're the first in our series. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. And actually, the bio doesn't say I don't know, the most important recent thing. I'm the author of a book called Design Social Change.
We're going to get to that shortly, which is why it kind of jumped up when I saw it come up on LinkedIn. So tell us about yourself. Were you born in Trinidad and Tobago? How you end up in the US, etc.?
So we don't have a lot of time.
No, we have time. We have about 45 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was born, I'm from Diamond Vale, right? I grew up in Diego Martin, went to school in St. James. So, I mean, really, I guess, to start thinking of myself as a North person.
St. James, you said, Dr. Noel?
I went to school in St. James. I went to primary school. I went to Mukarapu Girls RC School. Okay. And then went to Holy Name Convent. So I spent my first 18 years in Trinidad. Then I did a kind of strange thing. I went to Brazil and spent about 6 years in Brazil doing undergraduate studies in design. Came back to Trinidad. Then I moved to Belmont and spent almost 10 years in Belmont. So I've moved around, and even after Belmont, I moved east and spent a few years in St. Joseph, Tunapuna area. So I consider myself very Trini. I move around a lot. I really talk more about my North experience, but I have connections to Toco, and I was able to do some work in Maruga over a pretty long time. So, you know, I feel connected to many different places in Trinidad. How I ended up in the States, I used to be a lecturer at UWI in the Creative Arts, Department of Creative and Festival Arts. And then at one point, you know, and how university progression goes, eventually I got a kind of, I suppose, an ultimatum that said, okay, well, really, you need to get a PhD to continue. And so I left at that point and went to North Carolina State University to do a PhD. And I'm still here 8 years later. So.
Why Brazil, though?
Oh, Brazil was just because I was like very young and excitable and adventurous. And I met someone who worked at the Brazilian embassy at that time in the mall of all places. And she said, well, I met her like after A-levels. And she said, well, what are you going to do next? And I said, well, I'm really not sure. She said, well, why don't you go and study in Brazil? And the following day, I went to the Brazilian embassy to find out more about what she was telling me. And yeah, it's not something that a lot of people know about. I tell people about it. You know, there are many opportunities to study for free around the world. And Brazil is one of those places where you can apply. Oh gosh, the Brazilian embassy might tell me that I'm giving out wrong information, but it used to be like that, that you could apply to do your degree through the Brazilian embassy, and then they would place you in a university in Brazil. And
I know some people who've accessed that in architectural design.
Yes.
And of all things,
music.
language, because on music, a lot of sales stuff. I know Richard is excited about
Heather McIntosh went on that same thing, and Devon Seals. And you talked about an architect, maybe Cleve Pyle. I don't know if you know Cleve.
Cleve Pyle, exactly.
Yes, yes, yes. So all of us are former Brazilian, well, pseudo-Brazilian people.
Why design? Why a PhD in design?
So I was a design
And
professor.
what type of design?
Oh, well, so it used to be specific. I was in industrial design, which is about the design of like furniture and objects and things like that. But actually, strangely, when I moved into the PhD, it became less and less specific. And now I see design in a much more general way. And when I write, when I talk, I really talk about everybody having design ability and kind of like how do we foster that. So, I mean, everybody on this panel right now has design ability. We just need the encouragement to think ourselves as designers or as creative people. So, I mean, I think I can work in any area of design still, but I really talk about design in a much more general and slightly philosophical way today than I used to 15 years ago.
So when you say design in a general way, is it that you look at societies and how societies are structured, which is a design of sorts, and what is the most efficient way for society in terms of their social construct for society to move forward? Do you study things like that?
Well, that's a really good place to start. A lot of the work that I do today is about getting people to identify issues around them and then figure out, design a way out of that issue. So I recently worked with a city in the United States where the issue that they were concerned with was homelessness. And we worked for 9 months first trying to see the issues related to homelessness because as people who are housed, we couldn't understand the issues of the unhoused people. So we worked with them for many months and then designed several programs that would aim to address homelessness, right? And so it's really then I am no longer then, I suppose, designing objects. I am talking with people about, again, seeing social issues, right? And then trying to design.
We need to get you back in Trinidad and Tobago, yes?
Well,
it's like designing solutions.
Yes. Actually, the name of my class is Design for Social Innovation, right? So
there's a guy called Dean Allen. I'm sure he's listening with interest here.
Oh boy. Well, yes, Dean and I know each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful person.
So that project, because I mean, it speaks to me. I like the fact that you expanded or evolved your design capability and academic acumen from objects into issues. And what was in that specific space with the homeless people, because we have a big homeless problem in Trinidad and Tobago, and the Ministry of Social Development is building an edifice to house and remediate. But what were some of the considerations in your situation that you worked for 9 months that led to the solution? How did that evolve? Because we could probably learn some things, I'm sure, from it.
Yeah, so we actually came up with a portfolio of solutions. That's one thing about the way that we work as designers. There isn't one solution. It's that you break up the problem into many different parts, and then each of those parts, you could create many solutions too. So like one solution that we considered, and the homeless population here might have different issues to the homeless population in Trinidad, right? But the unhoused people we were talking to said that there were challenges with documents, so they couldn't get back into a system. And I was just in Trinidad, so I mean, we might have the same thing, where people ask you for 3 million proofs of address, and so they were complaining that they could not get documents fast enough, and therefore they could not even get back into work situations. They couldn't get apartments. So one of the solutions, which was a small part, then dealt with rapid, a place where they could get their documents just reorganized, where the document center is actually coming to them rather than them having to go to the document center, right? We figured out other things. Let me see. I'm just remembering small parts of the situation. Another group of unhoused people complain about transportation. So, like, if they had a job opportunity, there was no way, because actually in a lot of US cities, the transportation system is just awful, right? And we had a member of the police department within our team, and he said, well, actually, we have all of these bikes available, because we pick up unused bikes on campus at the end of the semester. Maybe there's a way we could create a loan system for these bikes, and people can then bike to the job opportunities that they had. And so it was a lot of different things that we came up with. One other thing we came up with was a three-step system to get people into permanent housing. So they would get into a shelter first, a shared shelter, and they would have to go through some kind of training program, with some new skills. And then once they graduated from that shared housing system, they would move into another phase which has fewer roommates. And then again, they would do some more training, get some more skills, social skills and job skills. And then they would graduate into another program where, again, they'd have fewer roommates. And then eventually the idea would be that they could eventually move into their own permanent housing. So again, we came up with a portfolio of about 10 ideas. And then the city is going to decide on which ones they're actually going to move forward.
Dr. Noel, I can't help but notice you would have used the word several times during our interview thus far, unhoused, as opposed to homeless. Is the thinking that they made the street their home, so you don't classify them as homeless, but as in fact unhoused?
Yes, it is. That's so homeless suggests that there's no community, and that they have no home. And some of the people that we spoke with who were unhoused actually said, well, actually, this is my home. This is my home. These are my friends. My pet is over here. My partner lives over there. And, so there is a move towards using different kinds of language. I think generally people still use the title homelessness, but we try not to say homeless people, because they do have homes, but their homes don't look like, not everyone, but some of them will have homes that just don't look like our homes.
Yeah. Interesting choice
How just before we move to the book itself, how important has it been in terms of your academic and social exploration of, and this is a point Richard makes often, of the design of living spaces, cities, towns, villages, on the psyche of the people and the development process?
Oh boy, that's a hard question. I don't know if I had enough coffee for that. So let's see. I don't know if I could answer that, because I don't think I'm not an architect, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't actually think in terms of space like that, and maybe as a designer from the global south or the third world, I live in Trinidad. I lived in Brazil, and I worked actually in Kenya and in East Africa, and I probably think in a way where we could. This is bad to say. We could make do with a lot of things, right? So it's like where we live doesn't have to be perfect, right? But maybe we have to sit down and we have to describe what makes the space work for us, and it could be a hut on the side of the hill, in Belmont or Laventille, but there are ways for us to make these spaces livable, right? What I encourage people to do, though, is to see, to be very critical about the world around them and see what are the things that are preventing them from thriving, and describe those things, and then figure out, okay, what's the next step? How do I get to something that is better? After I've figured out what are the things that are holding me back, because we don't always see clearly what are the things that are holding us back. And so sometimes we have to kind of unveil that and see that and then make change. So that's a good segue into the book.
So the book is called Design Social Change, Take Action, Work Toward Equity, and Challenge the Status Quo. That's a lot.
Yes, that is a lot.
One, why this book? And what is intended? What are the intended takeaways?
Okay, so then the why this book? So I worked at the D School at Stanford University for a year. And Stanford University is actually an amazing place, right? And they wanted to create a series of guides about life. So, they invited me to write a guide. It's a design book, but the idea is almost like designing our life, right? And I thought, okay, well, what are the things that I'm really interested in? And, in my PhD, I was trying to get people, again, all of this stuff I just described to you, that was my PhD work. Me working with people, trying to get them to see the world around them and understand that the world isn't fixed. They can make change, right? And actually, I guess before I got directly into the book, I worked with children in Maruga for 3 weeks where we did just that. Every week we would kind of take on a different scale of the world, and the children would start to see the issues in the world around them, and then we would design something. So you could say that the book is based on that PhD work where I'm encouraging people, I'm providing people with strategies for seeing the world, trying to become very aware of the issues in the world around them, and then trying to make change by understanding that the world isn't fixed. That you can envision different futures and you can work with other people to get to those different futures that you want, right? So the book it's not a theory book. There is a lot of theory in the book, or that grounds the book, but it's written with very, very accessible language. I had an editor who worked with me, and she would kind of scroll up the book and say, "This is not your class. This is not an academic anything." So the language is really very accessible, but it's about getting people to see what they need, see who they are, see who the people around them are, figure out how they can work together to address issues that they might be seeing in the world around them. And I start kind of planting some seeds of what these issues could be. Is the issue well, I mean, I live in the United States. Racism is always an issue, right? Is the issue, well, racism and white supremacy, is the issue maybe related to homophobia, or what are these issues? Let's describe them and then figure out what needs to happen next. Let's envision something that's better and then create a path to get to whatever's better.
In your experience in looking at the social construct specifically, is the world evolving in a way, because the world is in a constant state of evolving and changing? Is it evolving in your mind to be a better space, if you use that word better? Or is it evolving in a way that's more challenging, even though you think it should be getting better?
So, when we were editing this book, I had put some statements in the book that said the trend is always towards better, or something like that, right? Because if you work in social change, social innovation, you are taught and you believe that incrementally we're moving towards a path of more, maybe I want to use the word democracy or democratic, but of course not in the political sense, but we think that we're moving towards greater democracy or something like that, right? And the editor wrote me back. I think the day something big had happened. I think maybe women had lost some of their the rights to abortion, or during the book, a few things happened, and the editor kept asking, "Are you sure that we're moving towards better?" Right? I want to still believe that yes, we will continue to move towards a better place, and these things that are happening, whether it's like Florida changing their access to certain books or what, I want to see these as minor blips on the path, that maybe could be used to fuel a little bit more energy from people, right? Like I remember at different points in my academic career, I recall people saying, "Oh, well, these students are too passive," or like nothing's getting people fueled up. And I'm hoping that maybe some of these challenges that we are experiencing socially might get people more energized to fight harder. And that will set us back on the path of moving towards a better world, in quotes. And I say this in my classes, and I believe I say this in the book, that our issues of focus will change as we realize that we'll see that one thing wasn't good enough, and then we'll make some change there, and we'll move on to another issue that we see wasn't good enough, and we'll make change. And so the issue and focus will change.
I'm glad you said that. And going back to your point earlier about when you were dealing with the children in Maruga and showing them that they have the power to see the world differently. Proviso, I want to move the conversation away from the political, because generally the question I'm about to ask is answered in a political sense. Mm-hmm. So based on where you are, you are clearly still very connected to Trinidad and Tobago, but you are able to see Trinidad and Tobago from an outside perspective because you live in the US.
Yeah.
Generally, if I ask this question, people veer to politicians and politics. But what do you, as a change and transformation agent, see as the big problems in Trinidad and Tobago, the big challenges facing Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, so I will always start, I'm like a stuck record. I think that access to, and this is not the only thing, but where I always start is that SEA exam, right? And the way that we so early start to kind of prevent people from, whether it's prevent people from access or whether we're creating that level of competition, or, I think that is a place to start. It's not, of course, the only issue. It's an issue that I am passionate about, right? That point at age 11 or 12, I think is not a good place to be separating students like that. The whole society is stratified around what school did you go to, right? And I think that that's a really challenging place. It's not the only social change that is needed, but I think that it is one thing that we could lean some energy into. What other changes? I guess I think maybe in very, even though I talk about social change, I'm still a designer, so I'm probably thinking in very like modular pieces. So I'm thinking about education as one thing. I think that, access to opportunities in general, whether it's access to work opportunities, education opportunities, these might be connected to transportation. I think that these are some issues and some challenges that we have to.
Is that why equity was profound in the title of your book?
Yeah, equity is about figuring, the way I talk about it is like, figuring what do people need to thrive, and how are we making sure that different groups of people need what they get what they need to get up to an equitable level, right? I just kind of bumbled up my explanation. But the thing about equity is that not everybody needs the same thing. right? And very often, people say, well, everybody has to have equal rights to X, but actually it's not equal rights to X. Some groups will need preferential treatment to ensure that things are in fact equitable, right? So if you think again, if I think again about these kids in Maruga, they might need preferential treatment for many things to have the same access that kids in West Moorings,
or outcomes.
yes, to have the same outcomes that children in West Moorings or even Belmont might have, because they are in a rural setting, right? And so I think we have to kind of look kind of clinically at different places in the country and see, well, what is it that people need to get to these equitable outcomes.
Strange enough, politicians have responded in like manner and have gotten criticisms because of exactly what you just said. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Equity is something different to equality.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I know. I was wondering how much does happiness factor into that kind of social construct, and how humans become happy depending on what their needs are. I know you're talking about needs, and I know happiness is a little different. Well, it's a lot different to just needs. It's about satisfaction, about being vested in the country in which you live. And I'm asking that in the context, I would have read recently a book by Sheikh bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is the leader of Dubai, and how he transformed Dubai into the space it is globally. And one of the things that he talked about was happiness, and how that influenced, at least in part, his design moving forward of Dubai in terms of his own people and how they connect to the prosperity of the country. At least that is his intent. I don't know how much it is actually materialized, but certainly. So how much do you see that nebulous thing called happiness being an important part of that human social construct?
I think it's very important. I haven't done a lot of happiness research, but I know that there are people who do research about happiness and well-being. In the design process, I do ask, students, and I'm going to ask the readers of the book to think about joy, because we focus a lot on people's, as designers, we're actually trained to focus on people's pain, right? And we look for pain points, and then we respond to these pain points and design to react to the pain points, right? And I in my teaching and in my writing, I have asked people to also find what makes people joyful, and you could design around that. How do you perpetuate this joyous feeling, right? Like if people tell you, I am really, really most joyful when I am in the Panyard on a Friday night, but not, we as designers have to figure out, okay, so what is the actual thing that is creating this joyous feeling, and can we transfer that joyous feeling into another experience? So I'll give you an example. Like I had the pain of trying to renew several documents in Trinidad a few weeks ago. The service designer could be thinking, well, okay, what would perpetuate the joyous experience of Lyman with friends in the Panyard, and how do we get that into the offices where we're renewing documents? So is that by playing the music? Is that by the way that the guard greets the people, or so even that becomes a design prompt. What creates joy for people, and how do we get that into other things? So actually, when I was, again, working with the children in Maruga, I remember them designing like a kind of party bus that would go around Maruga and take people to the different sites in Moruga. And that's like an example of designing something around people's joy instead of just responding to people's pain.
Are you willing to take some course, Dr. Noel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Whilst we're waiting
The
on the
audience
call.
is very mild and constructive, so they can call now if you have questions or comments. Go ahead, Wendell.
Yeah,
so
is this your only
let me just
book?
give the numbers, Wendell.
Sorry.
222 Talk, 222-8255. North Americans, of course, you can call absolutely toll free at 866-525-1099. People in other parts of the planet are the 1-868 before the 222 Talk. And people on the message boards, you can send your comments.
Yeah. My question, Dr. Noel, is this your first book, and what else can we expect coming out from you? Because you seem to be just chomping at the bits to get more out to people.
So this is my, I guess, second, this is my first individual book. I was involved in another book called The Black Experience in Design, where I worked with 5 other people or 4 other people. I've lost track of the number. And we collected stories from about 70 Black designers on their experience, whether they were joyful experience, painful experiences, just about what it is to be a Black designer, predominantly in the United States, but also in other parts of the world, right? So this is my first single authored project, and I'm really happy where I published it, that I had so much support, writers, editors, PR people, a lot of support to work on this, which was great. I have another project in the works that's taken a long time called Restorative Design, where we're focusing on, restorative practices as designers. And then after that one, maybe I'll take a rest for a bit. But what are the projects? I am always going, right? So I really like to work with communities. So I think Paul said, come back. I am itching to come back and work on.
I'm saying come back in the context that sometimes I think we need innovative thinkers like yourself injected into the processes in Trinidad and Tobago, because we tend to have the same approaches that we've become accustomed to and comfortable with that may not be yielding the outcomes that we want medium and long term. I think we have a call standing by, if I'm not mistaken.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm out of curiosity, since I was wondering if she's doing some work in New York with the city of New York, because there's a heavy concentration, on the city at this time and the mayor about homelessness on the streets and in the subway. And I think what she mentioned about taking them from off the streets to the shelter and then to their own homes, this is exact, policy that the mayor right now is, pursuing. And maybe as Dr. Paul just said that they need innovative thinkers like her, I think she should consider coming to help in Trinidad, because the number of times we are hearing about is homeless in the city, especially by the Royal Bank. I've been hearing that for over 10 years now on Power 1 or 2, so maybe she could come and help. But I was just curious to find out whether she worked with the city of New York and the homeless policy that they're now pursuing. Have a good gentleman, great program, and I'm listening. God bless you guys.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, New York.
Yeah, so I have not worked with the city of New York, but actually New York has a fantastic social designer. I know who she is, Marina Cano, and maybe there are others, but the city of New York actually does work with designers to create programs. So I do the kind of work that that she does with other cities.
All right.
Maybe Port of Spain could benefit from a city designer or service designer or, others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't start us on Port of Spain. Don't start us.
Yeah, don't go there. That's a sore point for us.
What
we
tend to look at the negatives, but from where you sit, what are the positives in Trinidad? You mentioned pan and a panyard and Friday night bringing joy. What are the positives in Trinidad that you don't think we're utilizing for social change, in addition to pan, of course?
So I think that issue of happiness right, and social connection, there are ways that we could leverage that a little bit more, and I can't think of maybe specific examples, but I'll give you a more general example. Once I did a class with students at Stanford and students at the business school in Trinidad at Lockjack. And, one thing that had come up was that the students at Lockjack noted that the students at Stanford were lonely, and I don't think that we have the issues of loneliness that people in North America have, and that's something that, we really, as we move through that workshop, it was just like a 2-week workshop or something like that. But we talked about that we could really be
So is it that we
designing.
take for granted our social connections in Trinidad and Tobago that North Americans or others may not have?
Yes, definitely. And there is a a researcher who focuses on disasters around the world. And he said is the people who have strong social connections are always the people who survive disasters, right? And he's done this research in New Orleans and in Tokyo, in a whole lot of places where natural disasters have happened. And I think that that's a really strong thing in Trinidad, the fact that we have these really strong social connections. And so it's like any solutions to issues that we're thinking about have to be related to that. There are other things too. I think that we are very creative, even, or maybe despite the fact that we have systems that don't allow us necessarily to be creative. And again, that's something that has to be leveraged. There's an idea that myself and a colleague from Creative Arts, Ken Critchlow, who's an artist, might be listening. We have talked about this for years, like maybe as long as 20 years. Like we would love for the whole of, if we think about the areas that are most depressed in Trinidad, these places need really actually robust internet and broadband services. And because we're just interested, because we're interested in fun and games and play, and maybe people will be designing games and producing more music and do it, with better, more robust internet access in some of these places, right? So I think that our creativity, our social connections, the fact that we don't stay angry for, maybe people talk about our short memories. We don't stay angry for a very long time. I think that these are things that we could somehow be leveraging a little bit better. Maybe not better, but that we can leverage these in solutions that we create to issues in Trinidad.
Do you think, Dr. Noel, that we have a leadership crisis in Trinidad and Tobago?
I thought you were keeping me away from any political issue.
No, that's not political. That's not political. You know why? Because when Paul asked a question earlier on, I thought that was the direction he was going. But I decided I'm going there. Leadership.
But just to add to Wendy's question, and that's part of the issue. Sometimes we think of leaders only in the political realm.
Yes. Actually, even after I answered that, I thought that. One thing that I will say, well, actually, before I say that, I have to say, I said Trinidad earlier, and of course, I mean Trinidad and Tobago, right?
Sure.
I think that I say this tentatively, that we have a bit of a culture of age, and kind of respect for age, which is good. But I think that sometimes we don't give space to younger people to do things, right? And like, you said something in my bio. I just got an honorary doctorate from a university in London, and when they reached out to me, I said, I'm not even 80, because I think of people who get honorary doctorates as 80 or, like, I don't think that would ever happen in Trinidad and Tobago, that someone my age would get that kind of a claim, right?
Getting mayoral chains.
Well, Marshall Montano got an honorary doctorate.
Oh, he did? Okay.
But and so Aaron Lauer got an honorary doctorate, and they're not terribly old or older.
No. Actually, they're both like my contemporaries. So okay, I have to withdraw that. But I think that the leadership crisis that we might have, and I have to be tentative because I have not actually lived in Trinidad for 8 years, so I could be completely off. But I think as a designer, I kind of would want things to be more experimental sometimes, right? Or I would want people from different age groups and backgrounds, and to be able to suggest ideas that people will act on. Sometimes when I read the media as the outsider, I think that a lot of the discourse seems to be about maintaining status quo, and I think sometimes things need to be shaken up. Again, I'll come back to things like exams, or the SEA exam, or like that issue with the hair and the boys in Trinity, and like sometimes you'll read comments and people will be justifying why things need to stay the way that they are, and that's the thing that disappoints me sometimes in the discourse, which might not be the leadership issue. There might be that the leadership is not challenging things to make them different, right? Whoever the leadership is, I'm not talking on a political level, but on a political level, if you look at Mia Mottley in Barbados, she's challenging. She's definitely putting forward an image of somebody who's challenging stuff, and so that's again, I don't want to make it political, but I think that that's a general thing that I see in a lot of spaces in Trinidad, where people kind of justify why something is why it has to stay the way that it is.
Yeah. Well said.
All right, we're going to give you a chance to pitch your book and tell them people where you can get it in Amazon, etc., etc.
Okay, so before I pitch the book, I have to tell people that also the book is features artwork by Che Lovelace, who is another. Che is more famous than me, right? He's a very famous Trinidadian, and so I think the combination of me writing, and I reference Trinidad, and then Che's beautiful artwork throughout the book really make it something that everybody should have. The book is available on Amazon for pre-order. If people want to shop in other places, Barnes and Noble, there's a site called bookshop.org. It's available on all those places. It's called Design Social Change. If they look for my name, Leslie Ann Noel, it will come up in their feeds. I am still trying to figure out who in Trinidad is actually going to carry it, Trinidad and Tobago. So I don't have confirmation yet on where it will be available in Trinidad and Tobago, but I hope I'll be able to encourage a book seller in Trinidad to carry it and maybe even do a signing or something like that.
That's great. Dr. Noel, thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you for a refreshing change in conversation in this stage of school.
Yes. Thank you for the invitation, and
congratulations on the book and your upcoming publication.
All right, thank you.
I have to always end on a lightish tune. Are you related? Are you related to those Noels down on the Western Peninsula who have that beautiful resort?
Oh no, I have to find out. I'm gonna say yes, but I
his
know.
Name is Brent Noel. His name is Brent Noel.
No, not that I know of. Actually, my father's family is from Point, and all Noels are from Grenada. So
I think they have that lineage too. So you might be related.
We might be related. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All
right. Thank you. Have a great.
All right. Have a great one.
What's the name of the resort down? Is it Chaka Cabana? No, there's a name for it. It was recently redone. It's absolutely right opposite Five Islands. It's beautiful.
Y'all have a great day. Be safe out there.
Y'all. So y'all also have a great day, and remember to let go and let God.
Yeah, and of course, just reminding you that theater is on next week, Saturday.
Richard,
yeah.
Can you come in costume on Friday on set So that I think, Richard, I swear to God, you'll sell out that play. People know the role you're playing in that play. You will sell out that play. You have not been promoting that play properly. Please let me promote it for you. Come on set on Friday
Yeah,
in one of your costumes, and trust me, people are going to flood that theater.
Yeah, wear the hat.
So anyway, the play is on next week, Friday, at the 2nd of September at Naparima Bowl, just for one night at Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Tickets go on sale, I believe, from tomorrow at all the usual outlets, Key Squared Fashion, C3 Center in Gulf City, Fens of Marabella by the Roundabout, Creme Fresh in Brentwood Mall, Chagonas, and of course the box office opens next week at Naparima Bowl. So it's our final performance. We did a final performance in North. This is the final performance in South. And then we go into rehearsals for our next play, which starts at the end of September into October.
People in San Fernando, hold on, let me sell this play for you. People in San Fernando, you'll need to go and see this play because you will see some aspect of your own lives in this play. Trust me. Go and see this play. You see, if that fella with the Range Rover had watched this play, he wouldn't have get on like that clown he get on like with that one. Go and watch this play, right? Chen Sing or whatever his name is. Go and watch this play, right?
Thank you for that endorsement, Wendell.
Not a problem. I absolutely enjoyed it too. I'm sorry it took me so long to come.
So what you looking at me so for? Next week, Saturday, South Naparima Bowl. We haven't been to Naparima Bowl for the entire year. So it's an opportunity to finally return to one of our favorite theaters of all time, Naparima Bowl.
All righty. All right.
All right, gentlemen, have a good one. Chat with you guys tomorrow morning. All right, let's get into our 8 o'clock news.